So I
And
get that.
claiming it as your own original work. Had he said at the end of it on Kings of Comedy, in his wrap up, thank you everybody for being here. Shout out to Katt Williams for writing a great joke and allowing me to put my spin on it. I feel like we wouldn't be here today. You know, you
I mean,
wouldn't be there. You wouldn't be taking the shots that you're taking today.
if people would, when he was asked about it, and he just would say, yeah, he has a similar joke like that, and I kind of took from that because I believe that a lot of comedians do that.
Yes,
What's the name from Friday that played the uncle? Forgot his name. I don't know why.
the
That
uncle.
played, that played the uncle. DC. What's his name?
Well, which Friday are we talking about?
The second and third one.
After next. Okay, I was gonna say on Friday or no uncle, but
Yeah,
on after next, yeah,
the
the
one
one that
that
had the
played
wife.
Mike. The
Yeah.
one. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So he said that there are writers. They'll have writers who would actually go out and they'll be
Hmm.
notepad and they'll be stealing people jokes and
Hmm.
they'll give it and then they'll sell it to the comedians, the bigger comedians, and then before you know it,
Hmm.
and they're being accused of stealing jokes.
Hmm.
So he also he also said that allegedly that Katt Williams actually does have writers. Um, he actually did say that. So that's a whole nother thing. So that's why I'm anticipating Katt Williams saying something again because now
Yeah.
it's somebody who he didn't mention, who he is cool with, who said, they were, the people who were interviewing him were kind of addressing the fact that Katt said that he writes his own material and stuff like that, and he was like, "Who? Him?" Like, no, 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 no. He has some writers too,
Well,
but
I think he kind of alluded to that too when he said that he wrote his joke and then Mark Curry went back to and sent him back to the lab and said, "No, let's punch it up.
yeah,
Let's
they
put
help
some spit on it."
they help each other, and that's where I
Yes.
think that's where Katt's gripe is with them because there's no loyalty. How are you gonna take my joke and polish it without? First off, you could have gave it to me and still got the credit. You see,
Hello.
but you could have got the credit for helping me polish it, like how he
Yep.
mentioned Mark Curry. But
Yep.
if you just take it and you just do whatever, that
Yep.
that's not cool. I don't subscribe to that. So, um, anyway, the reason why we're talking about all this though is because I think it's so much more deeper. I think that everyone who's watched that interview for the sake of being entertained now watch it again to read between the lines of what he's saying because it's so much more. And I
Yeah.
like the fact that Tay was mentioning, being a conspiracy theorist because I think I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist too. You start reading in between the lines of things,
Yep.
um, you start noticing he's saying a whole lot more, but just with very few words.
Yeah.
It's hard to say
Absolutely.
that when he spoke to Shannon for about what 2.5 2 hours or something like that. But the little nuggets of information that he said, you could break down one sentence and then just talk about that one sentence, and now you have a whole new conversation. That's what I
Yep.
mean by
Yep.
anything he says stand out to you.
You could play the soundbite. I think you and I agree that there is a couple of different things. I loved when he said that Satan doesn't bless, Satan can't bless anybody, but biblically, that's not biblically sound. Satan actually does bless the individuals that come into allegiance with him. But we get so wrapped up on this. People sell their souls, but if people allow me for a moment to get on my soapbox, I want to clarify something as a believer that Ezekiel 18:4 says that, in the Bible, God says all souls are mine. Therefore, you really can't sell something that does not belong to you, because at the end of your life, all souls return to the source. So essentially what is happening is the enemy manipulates you into believing that you have sold your soul, and then by that manipulation coerces you into agreement. So it's really more like you can't sell your soul essentially, but you can come into allegiance with an authority. You can give the enemy a legal right and an authority over your life to create havoc. And that's
Yeah.
what's usually happened. And once you become in agreement, you have to honor certain contractual details of that agreement. And that's what you see people doing. But at the end of the day, I love that Katt Williams stood. I've been waiting to say this, literally. He stood on business and he kept it a buck. He kept it a buck. And no matter what the fallout is, he made sure that he was ready. You know, he knew there would be clapback. He knew there would be other people that would inject themselves, but he said what he said and he stood on what he said. And we move forward from here. And let's see what
Yeah.
happens.
Let me go back to what you said about the selling of the soul thing. That was very good, the way you broke that down. And I told you this yesterday that, you know, it reminds me of Dracula. You know, you got to be careful when you allow certain people in your space because you don't know them, you don't know what they're about, and they can wreak a lot of havoc in your life. In this case, yeah. Um, a lot of people don't know the story of Dracula, but um, Dracula will come to your house and stand outside your door until you say, "Well, come on in." That's just how Dracula is. Um, but once you get into your house, now you've welcomed them in. Now, whatever happens, now it's like this is what we're doing now. You've made this pact with me. You welcome me into your personal space, and this is what it's going to be. And I think these folks in the industry who sell their soul, everything that comes with the good, all the bad and the ugly, they have to embrace it because that's just a part just a part of the game. You know, the humiliation rituals that we see, you being, you know, all the parties, all the wild things that they brag about, and then now 20 years later,
Blood
they're,
sacrifice.
you know, the blood sacrifices, those two. And all these shakedowns that's happening from 20, 30 years ago, all them things, you're back enjoying yourself with these folks, and then now it's time to pay the piper, one way or another. So